Hello, and welcome back to the 411 on health insurance. In today's podcast, episode 4, I want to discuss the purpose of my podcast and discuss group insurance. So, to start, we're going to discuss the purpose. When I began the podcast, it's been something that has been mentioned to me many times in the past few years. Always something that sounded good on paper, but just never materialized. And have to give credit once again to Brandy, my better half. So very grateful to her for putting this in motion and making it happen. Again, the 411 on health insurance podcast, available on every major podcast channel. Rate, review, and subscribe, and tell your friends. So the purpose is to not only help educate and inform clients, but also help salespeople. Doesn't have to just be health insurance agents. Our approach is totally different compared to most people in any industry. Our approach of helping people rather than selling. Don't tell, don't sell. Educate, inform, and help people choose their best options based on their situation. It is much more gratifying to help people rather than sell. And I've been in sales for over 25 years, and we will be teaching you a different approach, more of a psychological approach to sales that has to do with listening rather than selling and telling. It is revolutionary for not just sales, but this system can be used in business, in coaching and developing your people, but it can also be used in your personal life as well as family and friends. It works everywhere, and I'm looking forward to sharing and discussing it more in future podcasts. So to begin, I just wanted to kind of share how this works. And the best way is to kind of role play. If you have a family member, a significant other, kids, anybody. And if you don't have anybody, everybody knows someone, right? You might not live with anybody, but you might have family or friends. Give them a call. Works the same way over the phone as it would in person. I would just say, "Hey, Brandy, how was your night?" She'll either give me a great response or a not so great response. Either approach works, either answer works. The approach is the same. I'll stay positive. If the response was, I had a good day, or I had a good night, I'd say, "Hey, great. What was good about it?" Or, "Hey, that's awesome. What was great about your night?" You're basically acknowledging what your partner is saying, or friend, or family member, or client. And then you're asking them in the form of a question, what was great about it? And then when they're done speaking, you can say things like, "Hey, what else?" I pause because they're responding. And when they're done responding again, if you say something like, "Tell me more." So here you've basically asked 3 questions, and your friend, partner, family, client is responding. Where normally in sales, the salesperson is doing all the talking. If you take a step back and you look at it psychologically, I'm asking the question to get you to talk. And when you're done, I'm asking another question. And that is the system, asking an open-ended question. But it has to do with listening, because you're acknowledging that you're hearing the person talking to you. So their response, "Hey, how was your day?" or "How was your night?" are either going to be great or miserable. And if you respond back with, "Hey, what was great about it?" that's an open-ended question. And when they're done talking, you could say, "What else?" It's a real simple way to get your friend, family, or client to speak to you without them feeling like you're selling or telling. Friends, family, relationships, I learned, can be treated very similar to a client. So I challenge all of you to better yourself by just asking all your friends, all your family, hey, how's it going? And whatever they respond with, acknowledge what they're saying and repeat it and ask what was great about it. Hopefully the majority of them say things are great, but let's be honest, we're in the middle of a pandemic. I feel like half the country's doing amazing and half the country maybe not so great. So the ones that are doing great, acknowledge it. I'm glad things are great for you. What's so great or what's making it great? And the ones that aren't doing so great, say, hey, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear. How can we help make it better maybe? Or, hey, what's going on? And just say, what else? Tell me more. In sales, we call that generating pain. In life, we just call it being a friend, being there for someone we care about, whether it's a family member, a loved one, a spouse. It's listening. It's asking, how can we help make it better? In sales, the approach is totally different because you're asking the open-ended question to get the client to talk, where it's being creative and outside the box thinking because everyone else is telling and selling. Specifically at the beginning of the call, it kind of lets the defenses down. So I learned this system first and foremost in my personal life. And then I transitioned it into my sales. The company, HST, Healthcare Solutions Team, has been using this system for years. It took me, I would say, 7 years maybe to buy in to the approach. It's a very gratifying approach. Like I said, I've been selling, exactly, I'd say 26, 27, 28 years. And I would say the last 7 years I've been using this system, and it works wonders. So again, educating, informing your client, helping them choose their options. But the most gratifying is when you learn this amazing system of asking open-ended questions to get the person doing all the talking. It lets their defenses down. It makes them feel comfortable. It's a new form of building rapport, but it could also be used in personal life, business, family. You could do it with a partner. If you listen to all the top interviewers on podcasts, news networks, I always hear, hey, tell me more. That's kind of a famous line around here, just to get more information, to get the other person to kind of give you the full explanation in detail. I joke and say the truth, but you'll hear clients say all the time, well, I want a low deductible. And I'll say, hey, that's great. Tell me a little bit more about why a low deductible is so important to you. And that's where you usually find out the truth, I joke and say, because that's where you're going to hear the real reason why they want a low deductible. Or if they say they're paying too much, I'd say, oh man, yeah, I know I pay a lot too. Hey, what's too much for you when it comes to your health insurance? And think about it. Whenever they're done talking in both situations, you could say, what else? And then the hardest part for most salespeople is they can't shut up. For me, that was my biggest struggle. And I had to learn to ask the question and keep my mouth shut. 90% of the time, the clients, your friends, your partner, your spouse, they're going to do all the talking. Hey, how was your night? Great. Oh, cool. What was great about it? Well, we got to go out to the park. We played for an hour. Cool. What'd you guys play? Oh, tag, hide and go seek, I'm showing my age with the games that I played as a child. And if you think about it, it's the same exact system when it comes to your sales approach. And your client tells you, yeah, I'm paying too much. Hey, that sucks. I'm sorry to hear. What's too much for you? And usually they'll give you a number and then say, well, is there anything you don't like about your plan? And they'll start complaining. And then you'll say, what specifically do you mean when you say your deductible is too high and it feels like the insurance company doesn't cover anything? And then they'll usually say, well, I had a claim and it wasn't paid, or I went to use it and it wasn't covered. And that's how you can get them talking and generating pain. So again, we will dive deeper in future podcasts, I promise. We will discuss the sales approach. We call it open-ended questions, getting the client to talk, educating, informing, and helping. So now what I'd like to do is transition to discussing group insurance, one of the fastest growing segments to the health insurance world. We help groups of 1 to 2 employees. It's very difficult in certain areas. Some plans are only available during open enrollment, similar to the individual plans or the ACA plans. The niche or wheelhouse is the smaller businesses from 2 to 50 employees. And recently, we've made a big push into 100 to 200 employees. The bigger size companies, they usually deal directly with the carriers. They have account reps, and basically the account reps work for the insurance carriers, and there's really no way to compete with that. So again, for group insurance, the niche is 2 employees to 50. We have made a push from 50 to 200 employees recently. And there are many different group options. Just like individual insurance, it comes down to the business owner's situation. Yes, we are here to help educate and inform the owner of their options and let them choose the best fit. Different plans that you may have heard are self-funded, fully insured. Other terms are cafeteria plans or carve-outs. These are all fancy terms for different options that work for group insurance, just different situations depending on the business owners. We're here to help the business owner navigate the chaos and confusion. Many smaller size business owners don't have an HR department. And if they do, it's usually the owner and his spouse or the owner and an employee that works there. We're here to help approach. We don't just sell the insurance. I like to say that I'm your HR department. Contact me. The reason it's easy to say that is the good news is the majority of the top carriers have portals where most things are done electronically online, which makes it very easy for setup and easy to use for the business owners and the agents. So with that, the approach is very similar. It's just done a little bit differently. It's definitely more legwork to gather information when it comes to a group. There's a census that needs to be filled out. If they have a current group, they probably already have a census. You can use the same census. And then honestly, from there, the insurance companies do the majority of the work on groups. They'll put the quotes together. They'll get the quotes back to you. They'll even get on some of the carrier reps with the business owner and the agent and close the deal and educate the client for you. Or at least the carriers I like to work with will. Don't get me wrong. A lot of times you're the person in charge and, connecting the group, but most of the time the account rep for the carrier that you're representing will be more than happy to help. So take advantage of all the resources that are available to you. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, please visit us at 411 on healthinsurance.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe to get the 411 on all things health insurance.